benching 250 pounds, breaking 20 minutes. A lot of people are doing this. So I'm not a superhero. This ain't gonna change the world, but I'm gonna be real with you. It's gonna change me. And that's the most important thing. Like, I'm changing. I see my body changing. I see my mentality changing. I'm reminded that I'm still growing. I still have goals outside of medicine. I still own my time and my body. That is me saying, like, no matter how stressful the job is, I'm still going to engage in activity that just says that my body is very important, mentally as well as physically. If I can challenge you right now, set a goal that has nothing to do with your title. Yo, what's good, everybody? This is Dr. Nee. You're listening to Docs Outside the Box. I don't know if you guys remember, to the old heads, they might remember, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, we changed the motto, the logo of the show to Money, Medicine, everything kind of in between. And before that, it was really highlighting ordinary doctors doing extraordinary things. And that's when the show was really focused on highlighting just other doctors, letting them speak. I would Q&A with them, and we would just talk about their stories. And it was what was needed for me for several years, for me to gain confidence to, one, do a podcast, two, carry a podcast for like an hour. That was really tough. And this is the wild, wild west days of podcasting, right? Like, this is 2015, 16, 17, and so forth. But we've transitioned off of that. But, sometimes you need that old thing back. So listen, this show used to highlight ordinary doctors doing extraordinary things. And today, listen, that includes me. That's right. Uno, nuno. So here's the deal. I'm a trauma surgeon, as you all know. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. I'm a podcaster. And also right now, I'm chasing two fitness goals. So on the previous episode, I talked about a new segment called the Vital segment, where I'm sharing the goals that I have in life, right? And the goals that I want right now are, I want to break 20 minutes in a 5K, right? 20 minutes. I want to be under 20 minutes in a 5,000 meter run outside on a cross country, course, whatever it may be. And then sometime in that same period of time, like in the same week, month, or what have you, I also want to be able to bench 250 pounds. I don't know how many times, but I want to be able to bench 250 pounds. And some of y'all may be thinking like, yo, man, what you trying to train for American Ninja or something? Right? Because, it's on right now and it's the summertime, and you know how it is on TV, particularly on NBC. There's nothing else to watch. There's no really good must-see TV. So as a result, like, they put these crazy ass shows on. So American Ninja Warrior is kind of what I think about when people probably ask, like, yo, what are you training for? And for me, it's more than just being able to like flex muscles. It's more than just chasing like an old dream or something like that. It really boils down to like discipline. It boils down to like mental clarity, right? You see, I'm going somewhere with this, people. Listen to me. And then keeping myself sharp and sane in one of the most stressful jobs in medicine. Let's be real, right? So, for example, like, I'm recording this episode solo because Dr. Renee is doing her job. She switched off and she's working the weekend, but I was gone for 3 days working. And, literally, when I sign in at 7:00 in the morning, there's 25 people, sometimes even 30 people, sometimes even 40 people on the patient list that I got to see by myself. There are some who are in the intensive care unit. There's some who are in the emergency room who haven't gotten to a bed yet. There's some that may need an operation. And not to mention all the trauma alerts that come through the door, right? This is the day before 4th of July. So, there's people who are just, starting their holiday weekend really early. So it's extremely hella busy. And a lot of times, you're going to the operating room, and then as soon as you get out, or while you're in the operating room, more traumas are coming in. So like, there's just a queue of patients that you got to see even afterwards. So you kind of do this, right? If you're on YouTube, you can see what I'm going. Like, your emotions go up and then down, up and down, up and down, right? Cortisol levels is going through the roof. I got this thing on my phone that tells me, it's a Pixel 3, and it lets me know if my heart rate goes past a certain zone, and it wants me to log it in as, am I calm? Am I worried? Am I stressed? Am I energized? So it's peeking into my vitals, and it's constantly going off and triggering me like, hey, you're going out of the range in which you really want your range to be. So it's pretty interesting. So that's the three things that I really want to focus in on. Why I'm getting into really good shape is I really need to be more disciplined. I need to be like clear with my mental, my mental. And then I want to be sharp and sane in this job, right? For me, that's what I feel that I need. And, you know, the big thing for me about discipline is, when I get to this age, I'm 47, is like, how do I show up for myself when nobody's watching? Or in essence, when nobody cares? Or another way of putting this is like, yo, you 47, nobody's checking for you, right? So how do I stay disciplined and continue to be in shape when there's no pressure? So I'll give you a little bit of a background about me is, so I used to run in college. I was an average track and field runner. I was mid distance. So I was like, the best way I could describe it is I was an 800-meter runner, but I was extremely lazy, right? So I was the 800-meter runner who was strong enough to run an 800. I can run a mile if I wanted to. I could definitely break 5 minutes in a mile. I think I was like 4:30. I can't remember what my PR was in the mile and stuff, but I hated running the mile. I hated running miles and all that stuff, but I could run a 400. And I was one of those journeyman type runners where I probably was a little bit fast to maybe run faster than the 800 consistently, but I really didn't know what my race was. So I think the 800 just ended up being where I spent most of my time, right? So that's kind of where I was in college, just kind of an average runner. And then, I applied to medical school twice. And in between those 2 years where I was applying to school, I was coaching track and field, coaching college. And in exchange to coach, they would pay for my grad school. And that's where I got my application stronger. That's when I changed my strategy. And then I reapplied to med school and boom, I got in. And, work happens, and school happens. And next, it's a year. I haven't run. 1 year turns into residency, and now we're talking about it's been 4 or 5 years since I've run. I'm not eating well. I'm eating McDonald's. I'm drinking Pepsi. Um, I'm just not eating well at all. And then you fast forward that to like, now married. We're literally close to like 15 years at this point since I've really consistently run. Fatherhood happens, you know, and now we're talking about like 2021, 2022. We're talking close to 22 years since I've really been consistently exercising, working out. But as I talked about like years ago, once I read that book, Atomic Habits, we're getting close to 3 years. I've been in the gym consistently. I've been rebuilding myself, and it's really been working. So like for me, I wrote down like why these goals. So breaking 20 minutes in a 5K for me, why is that important? Because it's a time goal that demands endurance. You got to be fast, right? And you also have to have some strategy, which is important for me nowadays, right? Um, it's for me kind of like, what's the best way I can describe it? It's like reclaiming part of who I used to be, right? But doing it with the wisdom that I have now. And part of that wisdom is, bro, you ain't fast anymore. You can't just go run 800s or 400s. Like you got to choose a race where you got to use your mind. You got to use whatever you have left of the speed that you had back 20 years ago. So for me, that's why that's hella important for me to do that in the 5K. Now, bench pressing 250 pounds, that's another thing. Like if I were to show you pictures of how I was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, like I've always had a small frame. I'm a small frame person. I'm 5'10". I'm like 175 to 180 pounds. So for me, it's not really about brute strength. It's about building like raw power. Like how can I get myself overall stronger? And then showing that even in my mid to late 40s, that I can hit a PR if I'm smart about these things. So overall, the key things is, yeah, I'm 47. I'm a doctor now. I'm hella busy now, but also at the same time, I'm smarter. I got more wisdom. So yeah, like I think if I'm able to strategically go about this, that I can get those two goals down. 5K and 250 pounds. And if you correlate it to what I do as a doctor, these they're very like they're relatable. Like these are transferable. That's the best way I could describe it. Right? It's consistency and recovery, right? Like you see a patient who's traumatically injured, your heart rate is going up. You do everything you can. You got to give them blood. You may have to put a chest tube in. You have to make all of these decisions really quick in a span of maybe 10 to 15 minutes and then make a decision to go to the operating room. Then you operate with this patient. And don't forget, as you're operating on this patient, other traumas can be coming through and they're just waiting for you to take care of them. But then you finish taking care of this patient. Hopefully this patient has a great outcome. You make sure you transition them either to the floor or to the intensive care unit. But now you got to recover because you don't have time to like pat yourself on the back or you don't have time to mope. You got to recover and you got to get ready and be able to produce the same amount of, or at least show up the same amount of energy for this new patient that you just did for this patient that you finished in the operating room. You see where I'm going with this, guys? It all tracks, y'all. It all tracks. So if I were to get more into the parallels between training and trauma surgery, like I think it's pretty clear to say like I can't control when the cases come in, right? Like that's the best part about trauma, but I think as you get older, it sometimes can be the worst thing about trauma, right? So there are times where I can go hours without eating, right? Like I can go like an entire 12 hours not eating, which that's not healthy, right? And not only that, I'm on my feet, right? I got to be on high alert, right? Because all the patients that I have, for the most part, one small miss, one small change from a vital standpoint, and we're talking about you doing chest compressions, right? In like less than 20 minutes. And not to be like hyperbolic, but it's the truth, right? Like these things happen very quickly. Patients go downhill in trauma and critical care very quickly. So you have to be able to problem solve. You have to be able to be on high alert and you're on your feet all the time. And the same thing is going to happen in a race, right? There are going to be times, particularly in a 5K, and I get in and I remember it from an 800 where the body wants to quit, but your mind keeps going. It's like, yo, you got to keep going. But what, the key is, well, how can I be able to match like stressing my body to the point where athletically I know that I can still do it? That's tough. So when I'm working out, though, I'm choosing the challenge, right? And, I choose like, am I going to hit the weights or I choose if I'm going to run, right? So it's a little bit different, but both the OR and the weight room really demand like focus under pressure, right? Because if I'm not focused in the weight room, we're talking about injury. If I'm not focused during a run, we're talking about me getting hit by a car or maybe not hitting the workout in the way in which I need to work out. And I don't want to waste time. And obviously it goes without saying, if I'm not focused in the OR, right? So these are the things that can happen. All right. It is my favorite part of the show where I get to talk about locum tenens and what me and Renee do, as well as answer a question from the audience. So listen, guys, me and Dr. Renee have been doing locum tenens for well over 10 years. We, listen, it gives us the career fulfillment that we need, but also at the same time allows us to have the work-life balance that we need to have, right? It allows me to be here to talk to you. It allows me to be, plugged in with my family, my kids, my wife, and still be here and talk to you guys for close to 10 years now. So listen, let's answer this question from Dr. Kevin. Dr. Kevin is a full-time locum tenens emergency medicine physician, and this is what he writes. I love the flexibility of locums, but since I'm not employed by a hospital, I don't have benefits. This is real. Should I really be thinking about disability insurance right now? Dr. Kevin, I appreciate the question. Thank you very much for writing in this question. I got all the answers. And the short answer to this is 100% yes. Yes. And look, if you're already working as a locum tenens ER doc, man, you should have had disability insurance yesterday, right? So let's get to the point. Like one of the biggest misconceptions I would say about disability insurance right now, if you're listening, is that you can worry about it later, right? I'm going to worry about it later. I'm going to take care of it when it comes up. And later you can put whatever time reference, time interval on it. but it's a big deal, right? Because especially as a locum tenens doctor, you are your own safety net, right? Like there is no HR department if an issue occurs. There's no benefits package, right? Part of the reason why you get paid so well is, there's no benefits, right? So you have to purchase benefits on your own, right? And there definitely is not any type of employer-backed disability coverage. I'll be very honest about that. And even the employer-backed disability coverage that you have is not very good. Like, even if you are working as an employed doctor, you should have your own private type of disability insurance. And that's real talk, right? So if something happens to you, an injury, an illness, a burnout related condition, and let's be real, that happens more often than you think. And let's say you can't work, your income stops. That's it. There's no salary that you get to depend on. There's no work. That means there's no pay, right? So that is where a private disability insurance plan comes in. And also, if you're looking for a private disability insurance plan, like, you got to make sure that it's true own occupation policy. I'm going to say that again. Make sure it is true own occupation policy. You want to be sure that when you're looking at a plan that it says that lingo in there, right? And that means that if you can't work, I'm gonna be honest, if let's get to the real, let's say as an emergency medicine doctor, or let's say you're an anesthesiologist, if you cannot work in that specific field, right? Or even general surgery, right? I'm a general surgeon. If I can't do general surgery anymore, but I want to do something else, that means I'm still going to get paid, right? And that's a really big deal, right? There's a lot of fine language out there that is meant to trip you up. But if you have true own occupation disability insurance, that means that you can do other things if you can't work in your specific field, right? And since you're a 1099 contractor, I got a little cheat code here, right? Your premiums may be tax deductible as a business expense. So not only are you protecting your income, you're being smart with your taxes also. Now, that last caveat, I'm going to be honest with you, make sure you talk to your tax professional about that. Make sure you talk to your financial advisor about that. They may give you some additional or a different type of advice. So it's super important that you run that by them first, okay? So, look, disability insurance, Dr. Kevin, it's not about fear. It's about financial responsibility. You've worked hella hard. You've worked way over 10 years to protect this career, to build this career, excuse me. So protect that income at all costs, right? It's super important, right? So I recommend, if you're looking to get disability insurance, listen, I'm telling you right now, I recommend you work with Jamie Fleischner with Set for Life Insurance. All right. We've been working with her personally for over 10 years. She helped me and Renee get rid of our really expensive disability insurance and get to something that was way more cost effective and actually had better coverage. And that actually was the biggest start of us paying off our student loan debt, was us first realizing that, hey, we're paying way too much to disability insurance as well as to whole life insurance. Let's get something that's way more economical. And 3 years later, we paid off over almost $700,000 of student loan debt. So we know a thing or two about working with cost-effective disability insurance. Super important. So I recommend Jamie Fleischner with Set for Life Insurance. She specializes in coverage for doctors, especially independents like you and me. Right. So there's no fluff in what she's talking about. It's just honest advice. And she's got access to multiple top tier carriers. So I want you to take a look at setforlifeinsurance.com or tap on the link in the show notes. All right. To set up a free, no pressure consultation with her. All right. Super important. And remember, this is Docs Outside the Box, and outside the box doesn't mean unprotected. Dr. Kevin, thanks for writing in. I say this to a lot of docs who I think miss out on an opportunity to talk to their patients and help their patients understand certain things, right? Like, we tell them to take care of themselves. But if you are walking around exhausted, not fit, or you're like constantly on edge and overstimulated, like, what message are you really giving to your patients? And for me, it was the same thing with my kids, right? Like, my kids are 8 and 6 right now, and I don't know if they really understand like what being in shape is, but there are plenty of times when I'm working out and they work out with me. But I was very keen on, like, I wasn't really happy with my body 3 years ago. So like, I just wanted to be able to be healthy enough that I can chase them around when they're in their teenage years. Or I didn't want to be that dad. Like I got this thing. I don't know if it's rational or not, but I got this thing where I'm already an older dad, right? I just didn't want to be that dad who has to move their kid into college. And you know how you got to carry that heavy ass fridge that's like, was it a micro fridge? Right? You got to carry that heavy ass fridge microwave up the damn stairs because they ain't got elevators if it's an old school. And I need to be in shape. I always think that, damn, I got to be that guy who's got to lift all that stuff up. And I don't want to be the one who's got to ask a younger dad to help me up. Like, that's embarrassing. I don't want to be that guy. So lifting and running for me, that's an act of resistance against burnout. I'll be honest with you. It is. And it's at the point right now where it is non-negotiable. Like when I work out, working out is non-negotiable because I know that is I don't take any phone calls during that time unless I'm on call and it's an emergency, but that rarely occurs. I only work out when I'm not on call or if I'm on backup. So for the most part, I can control that I'm not going to get a call. When I'm at home, Nene or Renee knows, hey, I'm working out. The kids, they come and, you can't really control if the kids are going to come in or not, but they come in, they work out with me or, it's a fun time for them to see me working out. But these things are non-negotiable to me. And I'll be really honest with you. Like, I feel like that's how I keep everything in check, right? Like when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm done, that's it. I still I don't know about you guys, but I want you to write in, go to the show notes. If you're watching us on YouTube, check out the show description. And there's a way that you can leave us a voice message or even a text message. And I'd like to know, do you go home in scrubs? Because I don't believe in that at all. I'm not here to judge you or anything like that, but I hate the concept of going home in the scrubs that I worked out all day in, bringing home viruses and bugs and all that stuff. And even just the stuff that happened through the day. Like it's a sign that I'm bringing it home with me. And I don't want to deal with it. So for me, taking my scrubs off, wearing whatever I wore, like some regular clothes, some sneakers, what have you, that's how I check out and keep my mind right. So that's something that I don't know what you guys think about that, but I feel really strongly about that. Now, I got some notes real quick. Here's the logistics of how I'm doing this, how I'm training. Super important. So I got 2 clear targets, right? So I'm going to run 3 days a week. And in those 3 days, I'm doing anything between tempo runs, intervals, right? So if you guys are familiar, these are things where you're repeating 300 meters or 800 meters, or you're doing mile repeats. And then you take 3 minutes off and then you go back and you hit another mile or whatever it may be, 400s, whatever it may be. And then at the end of the week, I do really long, easy runs. So right now, because I'm slowly getting back into running, my longest run right now is 6 miles and it's slow. And I love it. Just go out and just run. I don't have a pace and I just jog it. Maybe a little bit faster than a jog and that's it. Now, the other 3 days are I'm hitting the weights. So we talk about push, pull, definitely legs. You never skip leg day. And I'm focusing on progressive overload. That means that every week I'm increasing the weights, or at least maybe every 2 weeks or so, I'm increasing the weights. So if I'm doing squats and I'm just going to make a weight up. I'm doing at 100 pounds. The next week, I'm making sure I'm at 105. I'm at 110, right? I want to continue to get stronger. And that's what we call progressive overload. You're making sure you're adding more and more weight to each exercise. And the biggest part for me is emphasizing bench day, which has been a problem for me, right? I have noticed that I have shoulder pain and joint pain. The orthopedic surgeons who are listening, the physical therapists who are listening, you know what I'm talking about. And if you can write in and tell me what I can do to help avoid that, that's been a major problem for me. Is even though I want to bench 250 pounds, for me, it's hella hard to do that because, like I said, I have a very small frame. I don't know if my form is off, but I just need to improve on that. And it just causes a lot of joint pain. So here's what my split looks like. Monday, upper body, and we're talking about bench focused, push, right? Tuesday, track intervals. So these are mile repeats, 400 repeats, and these are usually at 5K pace, right? And just so y'all know what the pace is to break 5 minutes or to break 20 minutes is 6:26 per mile. right? So 626 per mile, I got to be able to do. That's tough. So we're talking track intervals on Tuesday. Wednesday, lower body, squats, dumbbell, bench press. Oh yeah, the other thing is I don't do no Smith machines. I don't have like barbells. All I have is just dumbbells. So eventually I'm going to invest in a home gym. But then I go to Planet Fitness when I'm on the road. And if anybody's familiar with Planet Fitness, they don't really have free weights except for dumbbells. So I'm doing lower body on Wednesday. Thursday, we're doing a tempo or steady state run, right? So we're running not at race pace, but we're kind of running a little bit slower than that just to kind of keep the heart rate going, get my body kind of used to running at a certain speed or a certain pace. Friday is pull and mobility. So, right. So, like pull workouts, pull exercises and stretching. I like to get my hips moving, get my arms moving. Saturday is a long run. That's the 6 mile run slow. Like there's no pace or anything like that. And Sunday is family and recovery, right? That's just me chilling, relaxing, meditating, being with kids, chasing them around. One of the things that I really like to do in this neighborhood is I like to go out for a really minor jog while my kids are on the bike. And the reason I do that is I don't want to get a bike because once I get a bike, then I can't be on the sidewalk with them, right? And I'm not ready to have my kids on the street since they're 8 and 6. I'm just not ready to do that yet. So, but yeah, so family and recovery time on Sunday. Now, a lot of times this may change if I'm traveling for locums. Sometimes Monday may be a family and recovery day. But it all depends. But basically, this is how it works. 6 days a week, I'm exercising in some form or fashion. And then one day I'm off. But also remember, like, during those 6 days, maybe 3 to 4 of them are intense. The other are kind of chill. Not chill, but they're not as intense. You got to remember, like, I'm 47. Like, my body can't sustain 6 hard workouts. Like, I'll start breaking down if I'm not already. And, in keeping that, I'm not really 25 anymore, right? I wish I was 25, but I'm not. Actually, no, I don't wish I was 25 because my mind was crazy during that time. But now that I'm in my late 40s, like I stretch, I sleep more. Maybe I don't sleep more. I need to sleep more. I'll be honest with you. I'm horrible at sleeping. But I do hydrate well. And even that I can improve on. So right now I'm averaging about 3 liters a day of water. And you got to remember, like, I probably should be drinking more, like 3.5 liters, maybe 4 liters. But yo, I'm a surgeon. Like, I got to be in the OR. Like, I can't be peeing all the time. I can't be taking breaks. So I got to, like, come on. Like, I got to have a compromise. Like, my urine is clear. I hate to be sharing all this stuff, but my urine is clear. So it's good. But I probably should be more in the 3.5 liter to 4 liter range. But I gotta listen, I got a job, guys. I can't be coming out of the OR to go pee. So I track everything and I use an app. One of the apps that I use is Future. That's what I use for my virtual private training. That's mainly for my lifting, right? And in those workouts, I'm texting with someone and they're sending me pictures and videos of different workouts that I can do. And I'll talk about that more in a different episode, but that's how I track my workouts. That's how I get my progressive overload. And that actually, yes, I have to pay for that, but I would be horrible at writing my own workouts. That would lead to a lot of analysis paralysis for me. So for me, rather than just, well, should I do a leg day today or should I do a push day today? And then next, I don't do anything and I just eat some Doritos. I invested in that program and all of the variation, all of the things that I don't think about is all there done for me. All I got to do is show up and I love it. And then on the other hand, my running workouts, I reached out to one of my college buddies. She's been running consistently since college and she's like really good. And she writes workouts for me, puts it on Google Drive, and I let both of them talk. And they've been able to create a schedule that works really well for me based off of, not running over 20 years and basically making sure that I don't get hurt. That's what I do. So every run is recorded. Every rep is recorded. And this is just like what I would do for a post-op patient. You see, guys? Guys, I'm going somewhere with this. I'm getting surgical with this. The other thing that I think that some of you may be thinking is, besides the American Ninja Warrior thing, the question is, How the hell does a trauma surgeon find time for this? And the answer is, like sometimes you try to be like real, I'm gonna try to be like real smooth and give people an answer and like balance and all. Like, man, I ain't trying to hit. Guys, I'm gonna give you all the real. Like, you got to make time. That's it. I make time because if I don't make time, the system's gonna eat me alive. And the system is medicine. The system is just life. Like, it's just gonna eat you alive if you don't if you're not intentional with this. If there's not like this check and balance where you say, listen guys, like, I'm gonna work this amount of time, and then after that, that's it. And then I'm gonna go work out, and I gotta de-stress, and I can't think about spleens anymore, livers, or what this neurosurgeon said to this orthopedic surgeon, and this orthopedic surgeon cursed you. Like, there's got to be a point where I just say, yo, I am out. I can't deal with this no more, right? And I just had to get really ruthless with it, right? I got to get really ruthless with my time. So, I either train early or I train late, right? So if I'm on locums, I'm either training like 5 in the morning or I'm training after my shifts are done, like at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. If I'm on night shift, it's the same thing. Like, I'm training right before I go to work or I'm training in the morning time, and that's non-negotiable. And you know, I treat them like rounds. I treat working out like rounds. Like, like anybody who rounds on their patients, do you skip rounds? Same thing, right? Like, my workouts are like rounds. They don't get skipped. It took a while, but Atomic Habits really helped a lot, you know? And, as much as I like to say, hey, like, yeah, this is all me, I'm doing this, right? I'm really lucky to have a support system. Like, my wife, she's OB. Obviously, she understands all of the stuff. She gets it. And then my kids see me lifting and running. And the way how I look at it for the kids is it's planting seeds for them, that they see that, you know, obviously, having fun and being with mom and dad and, with their brothers and so forth and going to school, that's fun. But there's also something to be said about working, and then there's also something to be said about physical activity and how that has to be very important, right? Like, your body has to be a temple. Those are the things that I hope my kids are picking up about, is that, like, no matter what stage you are in life, like, health is wealth, right? Like, it may not be ringing that high, but they need to see me as an old man still like hitting the weights. So, the best way I could look at this is, you know, if anybody's listening and they're like, man, how did he get to this point? I want to get to that point. Or these numbers that you're throwing out, I just want you to know that, look, like, it's not really about being a superhero, right? It's about being a whole person. And I just knew, like, even 10 years ago or even over 10 years ago when I started working, like being a whole person is super hella important to me, right? But a doctor who doesn't just survive, right? Like, I need to be able to thrive in this, right? Like, knowing that there's all these landmines and, the system, quote unquote, is going to get you. Like, how do I like navigate through all this and still have my mental, have my health, have my relationships? How do I do that? It ain't going to be perfect, but how do I do that? And this is how I'm doing it, right? So, um, when I look at this, like benching 250 pounds, breaking 20 minutes, like, a lot of people are doing this. So it's not going to change the world. I'm just going to be really honest with you. I'm not a superhero. This ain't going to change the world. But I'm going to be real with you. It's going to change me. And that's the most important thing. Like, I'm changing. I see my body changing. I see my mentality changing. For 20 years, I really didn't watch track and field much except for the Olympics. But I'm watching track now. I'm paying attention to track and field workouts. I'm enjoying like all of these different things on YouTube that wasn't available when I was running. And it reminds me, and I hope that maybe you guys can see that with yourselves if you decide to take on some type of athletic or maybe even some type of mental journey or mental workout is, you know, I'm reminded that I'm still growing. I still have goals outside of medicine. And it's still like I still own my time and my body. Those are really important. Like, I really want you guys to understand, like, I still own my time and my body. I want you guys to think about that. Like, that is me saying, like, no matter how stressful the job is, like, I'm still going to engage in activity that just says that my body is very important, mentally as well as physically. And, you know, if I can challenge you right now, to the docs who are listening right now, to anybody who's listening right now, like, I would love to do that. I would love to challenge you guys. Like, set a goal that has nothing to do with your title, right? Like, I know that whatever you do from a professional standpoint, or you're attaining some type of professional status, like, there's all those goals, whether it's getting to that professional status, or if you're a professional status, then it's like, well, what kind of goal can I have within my status? Am I going to be director of this? Am I going to be in charge of this committee? Am I going to make this much? Got you. Great. Now that you have that on the side, or you're working towards that, tell me what goal that you have that has nothing to do with your title. That's what I'm talking about. Chase something personal, train for something. It could be a triathlon. You crazy as hell if you do a triathlon. I can't do that. It could be a dance competition, or it could just be walking 10,000 steps a day. That's what we're trying to get Dr. Renee to do. But the key thing is, look, just make it yours, right? Just make it yours, and just, enjoy it and live in it. So that's my update post workout. I'm in the grind. I'm on the grind. I'm trying to break 20 minutes in a 5K, trying to bench 250 pounds. And I'll be honest with you, if I hit these goals, it's going to be great, right? It's going to be really great. But I'll be honest with you guys and let you guys know how it's going. But even if I don't, I'm going to still let y'all know, though. And the process is still going. I think the process is just as important as hitting the goal. So even if I don't hit the goal, at least I know that I'm keeping myself centered, I'm keeping myself sharp, and I'm keeping myself honest, right? Because I can see the workouts on the app. I can see my paces on Google Drive. So, last but not least, like, if you're listening to this and it resonates, hit me up, let me know what you think. Let me know what you're training for. Are you pushing yourself outside the hospital walls? Remember, you can always DM me on Instagram. You can drop us a voicemail. We might just feature you on a future episode. So until next time, I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. You guys are more than just your white coat, So, just like I always say, and I used to say early on in the show, like way, way back, we just you're not just a doc, stay outside the box. Yeah, I just made that up, but you know what I'm talking about. All right, y'all. I'll catch you guys on the next one, y'all. Peace.